Hello, my name is Susanna Kass. I'm the Executive Vice President at BASELAYER, leading innovation and the customer-facing function in strategic business development. What I do every day is actually something I really love. It's actually spend time in front of customers, talking about their innovation ideas, what are some of the things they want to do in the data center world, be it a cloud, edge, or some of the new things they're thinking about, and what might be some of the technology that can actually accelerate them to achieve their vision. And so I'm very passionate about that topic, so I feel I'm very lucky in this world to actually spending my full time talking with clients around the world. So the panel is about the energy challenge in the new urban system. So I learned a lot from the panelists as usual, and I also have my thoughts in terms of what's the new urban systems energy going to be. Given the fact that from the United Nations, in terms of urbanization research, more population, greater than 50%, is already living in the city, and there'll be more to come in terms of the migration into that. So how does data center exist in terms of being congruent with the energy demand that a data center need to keep the uptime, 724? Is that going to be coherent to the urban system planning? So that is actually the debate and the question we have in the panel. It is a very important topic that the data center usually consuming a lot of power. However, in the design of any mission critical systems, you also have significant amount of backup energy or standby energy that actually exists for a data center in case if something go wrong that is not providing the continuous, the always uptime that the data center would demand. So the question then back for in terms of is that the most optimization approach in looking at energy by just having it standby versus it being optimized for the use of the urban system that it actually lives in, so the community by large can actually also benefit from it. And then the other concept is a circular economy. Data center use a lot of infrastructure, and indeed, actually, if they believe in a circular economy, looking at from an ecosystem, what might be some of the recycling, reuse aspects that they can also do to participate in the community in a more proactive way. Well, I like to say that because I'm at DCD, most of us like to talk about technology, most of us like to talk about innovation. However, I personally view that the major obstacle is actually not technology, because I fundamentally believe if we don't have it today, someone's actually already start thinking about what are some of the key things that they can do. It's actually outside the perimeter of technology. For example, the business model could accelerate certain technologies from adoption or certain implementation of a deployment. But one of the factors actually always we face it is something that's outside of control, such as regulatory climate or policy. It's undefined, so in a way it need to be evolved or need to be more matured, such as who owns the data and who can actually get access to the data and how so can it actually be consumed and still stay congruent with the multiple stakeholders who have an opinion about privacy versus some of the opinion about transparency. So how do you balance the trade-off of that in terms of getting access to data? And it's nothing to do with the speed of the data or who actually physically have the repository store for the information. It's really more about policy. So I know a few startups actually are already thinking about how to utilize the digital transformation technology to actually solve this problem. So you can actually disidentify or disaggregate the ownership of the data versus who really owns the data and what the data is. And I know a couple other folks in the blockchain already start thinking about making adapters to it, and that way you segregate the different individuals so not one entity actually owns the entire end-to-end of the information from a security and a protection state. But the composition of it all will bring together what you really need to process an online transaction, to authenticate certain individual to actually do that. So I think there's multiple approach to solving the problem. I cheer for the entrepreneur and the innovator in the industry to be able to push the envelope on what they really fundamentally believe is the right thing on their technology discipline. But the ecosystem itself put together in terms of the policy. And then we hope that we meet some friendly regulatory who is actually pro growth. I hope that we can actually bring in more entrepreneurs and more innovators and experts to this discussion. And DCD would be the perfect forum for us to actually have these healthy debates and talk about innovation ideas. I found it very unique and a new value. Many of us industry folks come to the DCD event because there's a focus on the concept of energy smart. We start discussing about the definition, we start discussing about the value, what it means. And one of the unique things is DCD is genuinely a platform. You take a look at the itinerary, it's very well planned in terms of multiple locations. So we draw on multiple people from different zones and different countries, and you genuinely get a global view about not just one country about thinking what energy smart might be. So as a platform, you actually can ride on the DCD as like a vehicle, you know, and a platform of folks that you can actually genuinely talk to and gain insightful comment in a very compressed amount of time, because it's not a week-long conference, it's a day or two, and you get very focused in terms of that. So many of us are extremely busy, and it's hard to kind of get people there, but I fundamentally believe everybody takes the time to attend DCD, and they should if they haven't done so, because the value you gain by contributing your idea and also what you discuss with the industry folks around the world is just invaluable, and the timing is impeccable, because this is the time that you need to put in your voice, be heard, and interact with the folks and have a healthy debate if you don't agree, and that by itself is a huge value for Energy Smart.